students, I hope you are all doing well. So last class we saw about process management, and this class we are going to cover the last function of an operating system, that is file management. Okay, so last class, do you remember the concepts of process management? What is a process? A process is a program in execution. What is process states? So process states, we have 5 stages in operating system. So the first stage will be holding state. So in holding state, what you will do? You will just occupy a resource and you will wait for the command. And next state is ready state. What is ready state here? You are ready to perform an action. Okay, and the next stage is your running state. So once you are ready to do the process, you will be in execution. So if you are performing a task, if you get some error or if some interruption is there in between, then what happens to your state? You will be put on to waiting state. So meanwhile, the interruption will be over. Then once again you will go to the ready state and come again to the running state, and you will finish your process. Okay, now you understood what are the process states. So process states, we have 5 stages. One is hold, next one ready, run. What is the next 2 states? Waiting state, and finally terminate state. Okay, and now in this class we are going to see what is file management and how these files and folders are managed by operating system. Okay, so today's content is introduction to file management, memory allocation and memory deallocation. How this memory is allocated for these files. So how the operating system deallocates the memory for the file. Okay, now we'll go to the first topic, file management. Okay, so by looking the title, what do you understand? So we have some file, and that file will be managed by some supervisor. So that is going to be for you your file management and file managers for Windows. We are going to see here not only Windows, any operating system you can store files in any operating system. Okay, and what are the contents of file management? A file is a collection of specific information stored in the memory of computer system. So if you take example MS Word document, that is a file. If you take a single audio file, that is also a file, and Excel mark sheet, even that is a file. So each and every information which you store in any format or any extension, we call that as a file. Okay, and that file you need to store in a computer system for later use. So for that, the system is going to allocate you some memory. Okay, and the next point is file management is defined as the process of manipulating files in computer system. So what it says here, it is not only going to allocate you a memory, it also manages which process to be stored in which location. If there is a space, it gives you the space to store the file. If there is no space, what it does, it will just say you there is not enough space. So you will have to wait, or you have to go to some other secondary storage memory. Okay, and here it includes the process of creating, modifying and deleting the files. You will not only store the file. Before storing the file, what you have to do? You have to create a folder. Then in that folder, you will store your file. And if you store your file, you should name that file, right? So you have to give a name to the file, that is modifying the file. And finally, the purpose of the file is accomplished, you can delete the file. So these all tasks will be managed by a file manager. Okay, and here next we are going to see how the files will be created and how a folder will be created to the files and how it is located in your computer system. Okay, here in your computer, if you see my computer option, what can so many partitions you will have in your computer. So I'm going to take your C drive. So in that C drive, we call it as root directory, C directory. Okay, in that directory, what are the contents will come under the C category? So it is your primary memory. It is your main memory. Whatever you install, the first location, default location will be for you C drive. If you just download any application or anything, it will ask you by default C:drive, right? Yes, that is the default primary memory. We call it as computer's memory, which is main memory. Okay, and that location will be allocated to your installation files. If you need to store it in some other drive, you can manually browse the particular directory and save the file. Okay, now here the desktop will come under C drive, documents, downloads, any applications you download and any operating system you download, everything will come under the category of C drive, documents, applications and DOS. That is nothing but any operating system. Here it is DOS and you can just say Windows, Linux, any operating system you can say. And now under the docs, so many documents will be in a folder, right? So in this documents, for example, I'm just taking English subject and here math, here computer science. On these three folders, I will have some individual files. So many files will be there inside this folders. Okay, and not only folders, directly you can save a file itself in the document. And coming to applications, so applications, for example, spreadsheets and for example games. Okay, these are all we call it as applications. Okay, and these applications will have different type of files. So spreadsheet will have Excel sheet 1, Excel sheet 2, 3, and games will have different type of games will be there for you to play in the computer. So those everything will be as individual files. Okay, and here this everything will be managed by the operating system. He is the monitor, he is a supervisor. He will monitor each and every file and how the memory is allocated and how the files being stored. He will just track the details here. Okay, now we'll just go to a document. What you do, that is an important thing compared to all the managements. Based on that only all the managements will happen. So that is why we call here file management is one of the basic and important features of operating system. And operating system is used to manage files of computer system. I told you already, he is a manager who controls everything inside the computer. All the files with different extensions are managed by operating system. Anything you store in computer, that is called a file, and that file and folders will be managed by operating system. Understood? Here the operating system acts as a file manager. Got it? Okay. So now you all know what is file management. What is a folder? What is a folder here? A folder is a location or it is a home where you can just put all those contents inside the folder. Okay, and for example, if you take a geometry box, what will you have in the geometry box? So geometry box will have the instruments where you can draw geometry. And if you take for example pencil box, a pencil will be put into that pencil box. Likewise, so the files have some location or it has a home, where that home we call it as a folder. Okay, in that folder I can put a collection of data and I can take it for the future reference. Okay. And here now, so how to store a file in a folder? Okay, so you will just click the file and you will just right click, you will copy and you will just go to the location where you need to store. Then you will click onto that particular directory, open new folder, and you will store the file inside the folder. Let us see this example lively now. Okay, wait, let me show you how to store the file, how to create a file, how to rename a file, everything in a small demo. I'm going to tell you how to create the folder. Okay, so first you assume this is any one of the directory. Okay, and in this directory I'm going to just open, right click here. Can you see the new option? Yes, so click on to the new. Once again go to folder and your folder is ready. I'm going to name this folder as 8th standard B1 section. Okay, and once I give enter, then the folder will be created for you, and I will just right click once again, open the folder, and here let us see what is in my folder. There is nothing. Okay, and if you see another procedure to create a folder, any drive or any document you go, you will have on the top of your tab new folder. Okay, and you can click onto the new folder so that your folder will be created. Okay, I'm going to name this folder now. For example, sample. I'll give sample. I don't want this name, so I want to rename the file. Is it possible? Yes. Once I give the name already, I can also rename the file by clicking on that folder. I'll go down. So there you can see the option rename. Can you see this option? Yes. I will just click the rename and I will change into file. Okay. So the name will be created for me. Now this is okay. How to create a folder, how to store a folder. I want to store this file or this folder into some other location. How do I do that? Okay, I will just right click. I will copy or cut the folder itself. I'll just simply copy. I want to put this folder in desktop, or I want to put it in any one of the drive. Okay, so I'm going to any one of the drive, then I will save it here. Okay, or else I will just give that file in my desktop. Now I'm pasting it here. Okay, so in which location you want that folder, you can just right click, copy and put it in the particular location. Now you all know how to do that. So you know how to create a folder, how to rename the folder, how to store the folder. Okay, so this is not only folder, even we can call this as a file. Okay, any file, any PPT or any document you want to save, you can just click on to that particular save as and put it in the folder. Now you all understood? So okay, let us get into the topic now again. Okay. Okay, now you tell me how to store files in a folder. Think. So you will just take the file, right click and you will put it into that particular directory or desktop. Understood? Okay, now we'll go to next concept. Now here, okay, you have done now file management and you know how to create a file, how it is stored and how the memory will be alerted to that particular files. Okay, so all these things will be done by the operating system. Now what is memory deallocation? So memory deallocation means you will just deallocate that particular space once the file is deleted. So if you delete the unused file, if you delete the used file, anything that will come under the category memory deallocation. So this is called memory deallocation. Once the file or folder is deleted, that location will be empty so that the another file can occupy that location. Okay, so these memory allocation and deallocation is allocated by operating system. Okay, now you know what is memory deallocation. If you want the file to be restored, also can be restored, you have to go to recycle bin and store the file. Okay, what does the file management do? It helps to create new files in computer system and placing them at the specific locations. Okay, and the next thing, it helps in easily and quickly locating these files in computer system. How does it locates? You will have the search icon inside your folder. So right side corner, if you see, there will be a search option. In that search option, if you type the file name or folder name, it will be located. And next point is, it makes the process of sharing of files among different users. You can also share the files. It is very easy. Right click, send to option will be there. Okay. Now for example, I'm just clicking on this. Here you don't have, but if you click on the file location, you will have some option called send to. So using that, you can send it to anyone very easily. And next thing, it helps to store the files, right? So it helps to store the files in different locations. You want to store it in D drive or E drive, any directories you can store. And last one, it helps to modify the data. Once you click the file and store it in your desktop, you can edit the file. You can just modify the content and again you can save it into the location or directories. Okay. Now I'll show you one video. Please do watch that video now. Files can be any category. That can be a music or video or image or text files. These all files can be stored in a folder. A folder is a place where you can store multiple files. These files can be my document. For example, any Word document you take. In computer, you might have seen my documents. In that, all the files by default it will store. If you want any other location, you can randomly give the file name and you can store. Not only docs, any extension you can store. For example, .doc is given here. Can you see this? This we call it as extension. .docx. So this is called extension. In this type, the file will be stored. So like this, we'll have multiple extensions. So based on that extensions, you can store all of your file. Understood? Okay. So what are the extensions? So what type of files can be stored in the computer? Here, look at this. Audio files, video files, images, documents and other files. So look into these extensions carefully. These extensions must be saved with the help of dot operator. .mp3, .mp4, .jpg and .doc. So these are all the extensions where you can store the file in this format in your computer system. So these everything we call each and every individual components as files. Now you know what is file and how it is stored and how the operating system manages, right? So these files will be stored in this form of extensions. Okay, students, now you all know what is file management and how the files are stored and how it is